is Charlotte Klopsch, and I'm married to Fred Klopsch, the really tall guy who's from New Jersey. The reason what I really want to talk about is the love of God, and the fact of the matter is, God is such a matchmaker, and how you don't really understand what God does until you get much older and you start looking back. And sometimes you may see like a trail of two footprints in the sand, and at other times there's only one, and that's when God is holding you. It's true. It is so true that so many times in my life to where God has intervened in my life and has made my life so much better with Him being in my life, especially being married to Fred, because believe it or not, he was an answer to prayer. My first marriage ended in a divorce, and it was devastating to me to where when the person is alive but the love dies. And it's such a painful hurt, and it's hard to get over. But God was there, and I prayed to God, and I had a small child at the time. And you have to understand, my husband didn't really love me. That he didn't take care of his child after we divorced. He wouldn't pay his child support or anything like that. And the reason behind my first divorce was he got another girl pregnant. And I asked him, what are you going to do? Are you going to raise the child? Oh, that's her problem. It's got nothing to do with me. Well, you're the father. You need to be in that child's life. And he dismissed not only my own son, he dismissed that baby also. He didn't want to take any responsibility for any of his actions. And I prayed to the Lord. I go, God, give me a good man. I need a good man in my life. You have no idea how difficult it is to be a single mother. There were times like my son had a thing in elementary school was like uh, where the dads were invited. My son didn't have a man in his life to be the dad part. And it was very painful. They didn't really want my father or my brother to step in. It was basically the biological father and the little boy. And that hurt. God put Tony in my life. That's my second husband. And a lot of times I think Tony married me because he was ready to be a dad. And if you take a look at Tony and my son Michael, you would have thought that they were biological father and son. They both had brown curly hair. They both had blue eyes. They looked so much alike. You would have thought that they were biological father and son. Mike was at the age, he was like 5 years old when Tony and I were first introduced together. And we went to a graduation party, or, at kindergarten. And the teacher came up to Tony and go, it was a real privilege, taking care of your son. And we sort of stammered a little bit by going, Tony's not his biological father. And, she was a little bit embarrassed because, they looked so much alike, you would have thought they were father and son. And Tony taught Mike how to fish, and he taught him how to play chess. And then Tony died. 39 years old, and he died of a massive coronary. I was absolutely devastated. God was there to pick me up. And during that time, you have to understand, here I am 40. My husband is dead. I got a 13-year-old daughter at home, and I wanted to die. I wanted to join him so bad because the pain, that's another pain that's very difficult, is when the person dies but the love is still there. And the craving that you have of wanting to be with that person is so overwhelming at times that it just overtakes your spirit, your body, everything about you. And I was sitting in church, and the minister was telling me that, God takes care of the widows and the orphans. And I thought, God, you really got your job cut out for you. And that's when God put Fred in my life. Tony and Fred were shipmates in the Navy, and I've known Fred for quite a number of years, even though he lived in New Jersey and we lived down in Kentucky. He was a nice guy. He was one of the few friends of Tony's that I really did like. And I basically put my foot down and I thought, I am tired of addictions. I'm tired of people cigarette smoking, pot smoking, alcoholism. I don't want a man in my life. I want somebody that's going to be a good example to my daughter. I don't want anybody with any type of an addiction problem whatsoever. And at the time, Fred, he was a cigarette smoker, probably the first year that we were together. But he realized that my daughter had asthma, and he didn't want to cause her any medical problems. And as difficult as it was, he quit smoking for my daughter. That tells you how much love that he has for my child. Tony had the first 13 years, of Jennifer's life. She may have gone through the terrible 2s and the horrible 3s with Tony. Fred had the teenage years. If you ever had a teenager, you'll totally understand where I'm coming from. That, one thing that God does for you is he gives you grandchildren. That's your reward for not killing your children when they were teenagers. Fred was there for everything for Jennifer. Michael was out of the house. He was, on his own. And Jennifer was 13. Fred was there when she went on dates, and he sat up. She would go, I want to be home at midnight. He goes, no, you're going to be home at 10 o'clock. How about, 11 o'clock? No, 10 o'clock. How about 10:30? Okay, 10:30. And she'd be walking through the door at 10:29. He was the man that put the fear of God into whatever young man was dating my daughter at the time. When she graduated high school, he went to videotape her graduation, but he forgot he had the cap on the camera. He helped support us when we put Jennifer through college. And Fred was there when Jennifer graduated college. He was up in the rafters and he's yelling, "Way to go, Jennifer!" He was the proud papa. He was at work when she was at the Revolving Restaurant, and her husband proposed to her. And Fred was one of the first ones to know that she was engaged. He walked her down the aisle. I'm just talking from my perspective. I've never been a stepmom, but I know what it's like for men to be stepfathers to my children. That it's very difficult to where if you have a absentee parent or even a deceased parent, to try to step in and take the role of the father. It's extremely hard. On Father's Day, it's not just Happy Father's Day to the biological fathers. You should remember the stepfathers and even other men that step in when a child needs a man in their life. It could be an uncle, a grandfather. It could be a different man. It's very important for a child to have both parents. And basically, in closing, one of my favorite Bible verses is Ecclesiastes 3:8. For there is a season, there is a time and a season for everything, and it's the truth. There's a reason why you go through the storms of your life, and there's a reason why you have happy sunny days. But what's really good is when you have a spouse by your side, to where when you're in the hospital, that they're there to hold your hand and tell you everything's going to be okay. And another thing that I like about my house is God is in my house. He's a foundation of my house, to where it's so good to be married to a Christian man that I'm not going to church by myself, sitting by an empty chair. I'm going to church with my husband and I'm holding his hand. And that's a big difference right there, is when you have a Christian person in your life that's going to hold your hand and go to church with you and pray with you. I couldn't ask for anything more. And if anything, I just wanted to say that, it's important to have a person in your life. I always said that God has a warped sense of humor when he said, Fred's going to be the man in your life. And you have to trust God. You really do. But he was right. For two flawed people, we're perfect for each other. That's about all I got to say.